Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Productivity Compass by Zoho Projects. Amidst these turbulent times, it is our earnest endeavor at Zoho to engage our project management community with thought provoking content. This has been possible only by volunteers like Mr. Sukhdeep Singh, who take time from their busy, tight schedules to speak to our audience. Today, our speaker, Sukhdeep Singh, is the platform head PMO at Mahindra and Mahindra. This talk is brought to you by Zoho Projects, the waterfall-based project management tool. Mr. Sukhdeep Singh is an expert in the area of project management, electric vehicles, and future mobility solutions. He is a highly regarded leader in the automotive industry. He is voted among top 10 professionals by Tycon India chapter in the field of electric vehicles and localization of international products. He is also an award-winning author, keynote speaker, and business strategist. Prior to Mahindra and Mahindra, he has worked with Tata Motors, BMW, and TVS Motor Company. He holds an MBA from IIM Calcutta and BTech in Mechanical Engineering from Punjab University. He also has 3 patents to his name. Before we start, I have a few points to make. The session would last about 30 to 45 minutes, which would be followed by question and answers. You may see a questions tab on the left side of your screen. Please post your questions there. The speaker will be answering them at the end of his talk. If at any point the video audio is not clear, please reload or refresh the page. And for more updates and future talks, do follow us at Zoho Projects. Mr. Singh, the forum is now all yours.
All right. All right. Thank you. Thanks for giving me this opportunity. And I'm really feeling privileged and honored to be a part of this discussion. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. So first of all, I would like to thank Zoho for giving me this opportunity where I can showcase my whatever the learnings I have learned from my corporate working with in corporate world, and where I have acquired the skills in the project management along with the development of electric vehicles and future mobility solution. And apart from that, I really believe in the value what Mr. Sridhar generally used to say, like, if you want to grow in your life, you don't need to go to Silicon Valley, because it's all about your attitude and the way you work. That's important in your career for your career development. So let's begin, and let me just go through the presentation. What are the new things are happening in the space of project management for development of electric vehicles? So let's start with what is project management exactly all about? Why we have required project management, and how the companies are changing time to time, and what's new revolution and evolution is happening in the field of project management for development of electric vehicles. Because you have come across there are a lot of things are happening in automotive space, whether it's related to the project management, development of new products, or offering to new offerings to the customer. Because time to time new requirements are coming up in the market, and the trend we are seeing, like, there's mostly in next 1 decade or so, we can have almost 50% of the vehicles we can see will be of electric vehicle provided electric vehicles. And there will be a lot of things we can see in the future mobility. So for example, if today we are owning the car, might be in a decade or so, we can see like there will be sharing mobility solution provided by like Ola, Uber, or some other new companies will come up. So let me just give you like why project management is important if we want to deal with all these uncertainties. In project management, earlier we used to say like we need to do planning, quality control, and deliverables. Only three things we need to take care. Whereas now the modern management come up with the new set of rules for all the OEM players, where they need to redefine their requirements and upgrade the current way of working. So the modern management say like if we want to develop new thing, it should be predictable. So for example, today, if I'm making any new product, that should be predictable. Who will be my customer, where I will be able to sell it that product, what will be its cost, and how the product life cycle in which we can able to sell it off, and then we can face off that product. So that's where the project management plays a very vital role, and understand about the predictability of our product when we are going to make a new product. Second, the foremost important part is repeatability, because the cost and time is two precious things in the project management. So there should be repeatability of product. For example, today, if I have made one product which is at the M6 level project, so there should be like predictability. I can use that historical data for my future products. So there should be a repeatability of the products we are able to use that. Third, which is again the changing the landscape of project management, and we can see a lot of things are happening in data analytics. So the new part we can see in project management is what the data analytics. So what are the data we are getting out from the project, either it's related to the development of new products or the historical data, how we can coincide and use that data for the future products. So this is all about the modern way of working about the project management, and use the artificial intelligence to understand and all three landscapes we can change. And in the further presentation, you can see through how this new technology, new features we are incorporating our day-to-day working. Now next question arises, why project management is important? We have learned, we have understand, yes, project management is important because there's a lot of things are happening and change the landscape of projects, the way we used to deliver, and now the requirement is changing. So the project manager is important because of the value for customer. If we are making some product, so what value we are giving, how we are transforming that to the technology requirement, because we can see there are a lot of new requirements coming up, because customer every day they are looking for some new trends, new requirements. So that's how we can create the value, how we can delight our customer, and again they can buy our products. This is where we can see there is a value we need to create for the customer. Second, there is the requirement of growth of the company. Ultimately, we need capital for reproduce another set of projects. So we need to see how we can create value for the company so that they can grow over the period of time and come up with new products, and a company can see new avenues for their business. So this is how we need to see how the market share we can increase, or there's a change in geographic areas, and combine that for the growth of the organization. Third is the betterment of the society by new products and services, because there's a new stringent emission norms we can see time to time being given by the government. So we need to cop up those requirements and make eco-friendly products. So there should not be any redundant that we can, like for example, we are using the same emissions for nature future mobility solution. So time to time we have to work out on that and understand how we can make better products. And last, there's a competition. So if we want to survive in the competitive world, then we have to tackle this competition and change the potential threats which are coming from the competition. So these are the four important aspects which are important for project management. Next part is what we can do so that we can make right product at the right time and at the right price point. So these three aspects are quite important while designing a new product or giving any new services in the market. So for example, if we are making a new product, we should always think for how we can make it a first time right product, because the cost for failure is to impact our time as well as the cost. So these two things we have generally seen in the project management, like it goes on toss if we will not control everything at the first go. So quality again is, it is not an accidental, it is a continuous period of excellence. So time to time we have to work out on how we can produce the first time right product, because ultimately it's about the trust of the customers and the brand value which is associated with the product and the market share. If we're not able to cope up with these three things, then we have seen that in some of the failed products, we have lost the brand value, brand equity of the company, organization, as well as the market share. So, for example, if we have currently good amount of market share, if you're not able to give the right product at the right time, at the right cost, so we have seen that we have lost our market share or the brand value. So that's how we can delight our customer, by giving the first time right product, and by minimizing the failures and within the time frame. Next part is, if we can give the first time right and every time right, now how we can conceptualize. For example, because for making the electric vehicles or future mobility products, we need to conceptualize this. We know that's the requirement in the market, but how we can conceptualize, that is more important. So there we use the inputs from QFD. There's a quality function deployment, one of the tools which we use. We go in the market to understand the requirement of customers and try to capture the voice of customer, what exactly they their requirement. And after taking through the voice of customer, we make the questionnaire. Like, we can give the questionnaires to the customers and understand their requirement, and we can capture the voice of customer. Afterwards, we can go and create the house of quality. In house of quality, we can drive down their requirement into the technical requirement. For example, if any customer say, I want electric vehicle which can move for 300 kilometer without any recharge, so we can understand he has required higher capacity of battery which can run up to 300 kilometers, and there we need to work out. So this is how we can bifurcate every is requirement and make the chunk of requirements into the house of quality. After getting the house of quality, then we can categorize into two parts, because if we are making something, it doesn't mean we have to give everything. So that's where the important part comes out, about the quality, cost, and delivery within the time frame we need to deliver, and how the product we have to deliver to the customer, whether it's a customer delight or must be requirement. For example, if competition is already giving in that particular space, then that's important. We have to offer that offer that product to the customer at right price, which is being offered by the competition. And second comes out to be customer delight. So some of the features we have to give for customer delight. So this is how we can bifurcate into two parts. So after getting conceptualization, after getting the mobility, we can understand the requirement, and then we go for the product requirement specifications. So we have clear about why project management is required in electric vehicles for development of future mobility. And the second part, we have learned how we can use that project management of the day-to-day for development of electric vehicles. Third part, we have come across to understand how we are driving the requirements of customer to the uh, requirements which needs for development of electric vehicles. Now the next part is how we can specify, how we can quantify those requirements in terms of development. So basically, there are three types of things we need to divide. What customer said. For example, customer asked for, just as I said, recharge. Without recharge, the vehicle should go for 300 kilometers or so. Then he is looking for higher battery backup. And in some of the cases, for example, customer has asked for less battery maintenance expenses. So in that case, we can understand he's looking for less maintenance cost. And the proposal goes to the optimization of our battery development. And in another part, if some of the customers said required less space between dashboard and seat, so we understand that he's looking for comfortable ride and more leg space. And the proposal that we'll make, a technical proposal which we'll make, we can understand he's looking for 100-120 gap required between legs and dashboard, where the ergonomics plays a role to understand. So this is how we drive the customer requirement to the application, and application to the our proposal. So this is how we divide the requirement when we go to the market and understand the requirement. Then it's come to the next part of the whether those things are the futuristic products where we need to give this uh, these features or to delight the customer. So once we know these are the important feature which needs to be given when we are developing any new product, and other things which are required for customer delight. So this is how we can bifurcate the customer requirement and broadly features, make the feature and specification based on that. So after understanding the quality, voice of customer and house of quality document, then it's come to the business case. So we need to understand whether that product is really viable to make for the organization or make any business sense. Then we can understand what our long-term strategy for the product development and what's the short-term strategy which in line with the company's vision, mission, and goals. So once we can see all these are in place, then we'll understand this is one of the product which will fulfill the requirement and where the company is not operating. So once the business case is ready, then we understand what's the IRR rate, whether it's a financially viable this product to make. So from that perspective, we can understand. So once we understand, yes, this is what the minimum IRR rate will get it if we can make this product. After analyzing, then we can present this case to the management. So this is the financial goals we can fulfill. Market share will be get captured with this new product, and we can able to perform for another 4 to 5 years in this space. So once the management and the development team and all the stakeholders on board after presenting the business case and getting the approval, we go for the further development of our vehicle. So what happens once the case feature is approved? Then we can do the categorization of our business case. What's the product specification? Because in house of quality, we have captured all the data. What are the requirements and voice of customer being captured for the customer? So in that case, we need to make the whole one set of specification sheet in a technical manner, which can be understood by the R&D team. Once the R&D team understand, they can make the categorization of the product, whether we have to make a full new product or it's just a one offering or the feature that we are giving to the customer. So this is how the categorization been done. For example, if we are making a full new electric vehicle or future mobility solution, then it's come to the M6 level, C1, P1. So these are the generally bifurcated by the companies. Some companies says it's an M6 level project, or some companies say C1 project, some companies say P1 project. So this is how they can do the categorization. For example, it's a full project, then it's come to the category number 1. If there is a change of some aggregates, 2 or more aggregates, for example, change of sheet metal components, change of transmission, or change of engine, or change of on the vehicle level. So this come out to be the second category where 2 or more aggregates are going to change. And the last category is M2, L3, P3. So in that, if we are giving some small feature change or change in the vehicle level, this is the third category, how we present to the management on the categorization. So now we can learn and understand how and what are the new features been added by the project management we can see in electric vehicles and future mobility development. First, we can see there's an intelligent solution being used by the auto companies for capturing the data and do the automation of the project. And it's point number 2, that is new approaches. So earlier we used to have very simple way of working, only to track the plan, quality, and delivery. Only 3 aspects we used to see in the project management. But as I mentioned, there is a change and evolve in the project management. Now we can see there's a hybrid project management and there's a new agile project management way of working being applied by auto companies. Point number 3, that is intelligence. Like for example, emotional, how you're connected to the team emotionally, how the project been delivered, and how what are the emotions being impacted by the uh, the team who are operating on that particularly. So that's how we can see what are the EQ is affecting the project delivery. Point number four is the analytics. As I mentioned, there are a lot of data being we historically we have or the current projects which we have been generated. So we have working on the analytics part also. Fifth, the new trend we have seen is the advanced project management tools being used by the PM team. So these are the five aspects which we are seeing. These are new trends, new way of working in project management, whether you can talk about auto company or IT companies or financial companies or BPOs, all they have seen this. This is a new trend, new way of working by compiling these five new features. All right, so let me just go through the trends, how and where we are using these new trends and how they're impacting the project management. So coming to the point number one about the artificial intelligence and automation. So there is a report by McKinsey that by 2021, there's a 50%, it's a 50% medium or large enterprises deploy chatbot. For example, in current way, like if we are interacting with our project manager, then we have to do the planning and execution monitoring, and then we can deliver the project. But for task management we are using the artificial intelligence. Like for example, if I want to give one task to the team, then we have some set of software or automation that automatically the task will get divided between the team, and it's by time to time we can see that how the progress been happening on the task. And if we need to particularly select any task, for example, I have set of 5 tasks in one project in one milestone delivery, so I can give those 5 tasks to my team, and I can see over the period of time how the task been uh, completed and how much time been taken by the particularly one set of people, one set of team, and the by with the other set of team. So this is how we can make the comparison, and we have good amount of data for taking it for future products. Next is to facilitate meetings. For example, we want to facilitate, because in COVID times we have seen that earlier whatever the business models, business way of working, that's been evolved over the last 1 year. New things are coming up in the way we do the meetings. So this is also one arena we have seen, like there's a change in we used to do the meetings, and now after COVID times there's a there's a set of change of meetings being performed by the project management team. Apart from that, with the support of artificial intelligence, we can do the realistic timing. For example, in last 1 decade or so, we had no any such set of software or tools we can understand how exactly the time been taken for the product development, because it's all about the time, what are the time been taken by the team, then only we can do any analysis and understand. Otherwise we don't have that point in time any software automation tools where we can understand like what how much time been taken by the project team for completion of task. So with the support of data, we can understand for particularly one project will take how much time. And next, with the support of artificial intelligence, we can able to reduce the errors also. For example, if any design team have developed one design, so we can, with the support of artificial intelligence, we can understand what iterations we can, what errors been made by the designer, and the errors which we can eliminate on the later stage, that we can take it in the first stage itself. So this is how the artificial intelligence and automation is supporting the project management in the terms of reducing the timeline and creating the historical data. Next is the predictive analysis and improve efficiency. So as I mentioned, like we can reduce the errors, as well as now the next part is predictive analysis we can do with the support of artificial intelligence and automation. and moreover we can improve the efficiency. So for example, they set off like some emails or delays in the this if there's any delay in the project that we can anticipate later on, that we can anticipate in the first stage itself with the support of the trends and the automation tools. So this is how the new sets of delivery been given with the support of artificial intelligence and automation tools. Next is the hybrid project management. Earlier, we used to do the planning, testing, deployment, design. So this all now it's a outdated project management. Now there is a new set of rules being created by the project management where it's a agile project management team we used to say. So for example, if we want to combine any long range planning or short range planning, we need to work closely with the strategy team and the business planning team. So earlier there were two different entities being given entities being called in the organization, whereas with the new set of rules now these two departments have to work together to deliver the products within the timeline and the time to time to check if there's any change in the customer requirements or competition is coming with the new requirement. So this is how these two departments have come together and focus on the customer requirement and the customer demands from time to time. Next part is the emotional intelligence. As I said, EI is also playing a very vital role to understand the requirement, because after all, we all are human beings, not machines where we don't have emotions. So to understand the emotions of the team, we need to understand and how the team's been performing from time to time, how the emotions been changed. So 58% survey predictive intelligence team is the strongest predictor. For example, if there's a set of 5 people in a team, every person has different emotions. So to deal with the emotions, their understanding required how emotional intelligence play a role for defining the projects. So this is one area where the project management teams are working and understand the requirements from time to time. Next part, we can see there are a lot of things are happening in EV and future mobility that is related to the data analytics and number. So for example, for making any decision, we have now set of data, whether it's historical or for the current projects. So with the support of that, we can make now project plans and delivery, and wherever there's a requirement of any quality related changes, or we need to incorporate from time to time quality proving or product quality data, that also we can use for setting up our targets in terms of quality. Next is our risk estimation. So for example, time to time, we need to understand what competition is giving, what they are offering, and what in future we can see the offerings being given by the competition. So with the support of data, we can analyze and we can predict our future of the products which we are making and the products which we are already selling in the market. So big data, again, it's playing a very important role for predictability of our products. And next is the knowledge management, risk management, and resource management. These are some areas where we are using the data to understand how exactly we can take decision with the support of data and numbers. Next is the tools, which are I've already told you in the last slides. If we want to make a successful project, then we have to use tools, and we have to deal with the new solutions which are being offered for project management or development of new products. So there's a study been done by McKinsey that 77% of high performing projects which are being delivered, they have used the softwares and tools. Without the support of software tools or automation, we are not able to achieve the right product at the right time and at the right price. So we have to use this software and tools. So which all the areas where we can use these tools? For example, for project planning, we have some tools where we can plan our Gantt chart, where we can make the uh, Gantt chart and understand when we need to start off activity, when it is going to finish off. So there we can use the project planning tool. Second is schedule and time tracker. So time to time we need to track where we are, plan versus actual. So time tracker will support us to understand the delivery of project. If we are taking some more time with the planned time, then it will help us to give the trigger to the development team and try to do the risk analysis if any risk is associated with the delay. Next is communication and collaboration. If we need to communicate or collaborate with the other team members or other cross-functional teams, there we can use some new automation tools and solutions for collaborating with the other team members. Next, for budgets and deadlines. For budget planning, we have some software being used which help us to make the budget planning in the beginning of this project. And time to time, we at the every milestone, we can check our plan versus actual about the material cost, about the capex expenditure, revenue expenditure. And next is the project progress tracking. So as I already mentioned, like for successful right product, the important is we can give at the right price, right time, and first time right product. So all these things can be achievable if we can use all these 5 parameters for the development of new product. Now the next part of our discussion is how exactly the development being done in automotive companies. So there are particularly 6 aspects in which we have divided our development. First part is the planning part. Next is the design and development part. Third is the testing and verification part. Fourth is a validation of our product. Fifth is the manufacturing, and the last is start of our production. So this is how the whole product life cycle, product development cycle, been divided into 6 milestones, which are used in any particular OEM or automotive companies. Coming to the first part of our development, that is related to the product planning and definition phase. So the currently we have to understand, like I already mentioned, that if we need to make any plan, then we need to go to the market to understand the customer requirement, capture the voice of customer, what exactly the customers they are looking for the product, for the what offerings and features they are looking for. So this is the one aspect of our product planning. And second, afterwards making specification, then we need to release the drawings in L1 or L0. So generally L0 drawings, we need to check with the supplier whether that product part is feasible to manufacture. And if there's any feature, any manufacturing, if there's not possibility of manufacturing, then again we can come out and redefine our parts and make the changes in that. Next is we can see the target brochures which are required for example, if we can make one brochure and understand with that what offerings we are able to give in that particular product. And fourth, we need to make the decision on make or buy products. So for example, if there are some parts which we can make it in house, then we can strategize in the first planning phase itself. And if we have to outsource some development, then we can go for borrowed components. So in the planning stage itself, in definition stage itself, we can do all these aspects check. And whereas now on the other side, the emerging trends we can see in electric vehicles development and future mobility, generally instead of going and approaching the customer we are doing the market research on the internet. So all the data now being generated through internet only, we can understand the customer requirements, because in EV there is no any set of like geographies or a set of people where we can approach them and take the data. So now most of the companies, they are doing the internet based research to understand the customer requirements and the features that we need to incorporate for electric vehicles and future mobility. Second, the emerging trend that we can see is the digitalization of product planning. So earlier we used to have meetings and make the paper based all the work been done. Now there's a digitalization libraries been making for product planning. And the third aspect that we can see emerging trend in the product planning is the data driven decision being taken. So currently now we have good amount of historical data. What are the products we have made, and the products which we are making right now? We have like good amount of data from which we are driving our decision for planning, whether it's about the planning, quality, cost, deliverables, or the uh, delighted customer delight features that needs to be offered. So all the decision now being driven with the support of data only. Next, the aspect of new product development is design and development phase. So currently, if we want to make any new product, then after planning, we need to make the sketches and clay modeling. So for example, we have some sketches. We roughly make the sketches of our product. Then after sketches, we can make the clay model of that to understand and see physically how the product will look like, and where we need to make the changes in the features or the styling of the product. There itself we can take the decision. Next is part list. So we have some good amount of historical data where we can understand what number of parts been required and new parts which will get added in our part library. So that's also we can do the analysis how many new parts been added, because it's all about the cost being added to the company's budget. So that's also we do the planning at the design and development phase and try to reduce the number of new components. Third is to prepare the manufacturing strategy, because with the industry 4.0 there are a lot of new things are happening in the manufacturing arena. So there also we can see a lot of new emerging trends being see in the field of manufacturing strategy. Next is the make or buy decision. As in the last slide I've shown you, in the planning we do the make or buy, and in the design and development phase we can do the sign off. So this number of parts being made in-house, and the some of the parts been outsourced to the third party. And fourth is a material cost set after discussion with supplier, because it's all about the manufacturing cost and as well as the material cost about the product. So every milestone we need to do the track where we are going with the plan versus actual about the material, whether it's for the material cost or the project cost. So these are the current design and development, this is a current way of working. But on the right hand side we can see the emerging trends for the design and development. Number one, now we can do the digital mock-up, because earlier we make this style sketches and do the clay modeling, but now we make the digital mock-up for seeing our products, how it look like, how it will be behave, and we see the whole new ergonomics, how it looks like, how when the customer will come inside the vehicle, how it will be look and how we'll take the feel of the product. That's how we can make the digital mock-ups of the product. Next, afterwards, we can do the component releases in PLM, product lifecycle management. So all the components, instead of like Oracle or in the local substations, we are now releasing all the components on the PLM. uh, in PLM. So next is the manufacturing strategy. As I mentioned, with the new trends with the new Industry 4.0, we can see a lot of changes been happening in the space of manufacturing also. And third, fourth part is the outsource of non-value added activities. As I said, in the current trends, we have like manufacture most of the component in-house, whereas with the new trends we are like we are outsourcing the most of the components, only the critical parts and the parts which are related to the quality where we are not able to achieve outside, those only components now most of the OEMs making in-house, otherwise most of the work been outsourced. Next point is in the emerging trends, we can see material cost estimation. Earlier, we usually do the estimation with the help of historical data, or the suppliers come up with their quotation. But now we have Simpro and Stack. These are two softwares being used for doing the cost estimation. So these are the new emerging trends being seen in the design and development phase. All right, now coming to the next part about the testing and verification phase. So currently we can use the standard way of working testing and concepts for the testing of vehicles. For example, if I would like to test any electric vehicle or at the component level, then generally I take vehicle on the road or to the torture track to run for particularly number of hours, and or sometimes I can take vehicle to the highways to uh, understand the vehicle behavior or the on the highways how it performs. And apart from that, component level testing, some of the like component level testing we can do in-house. So these are the current way of working in the development, in the testing and verification phase. Whereas on the right hand side, you can see there are some emerging trends being seen in the testing and verification phase. Point number one, we are using the artificial intelligence for testing of vehicles. So for example, if we have making a new mockup or prototype, then we are taking it outside. Instead of like on the road, we are doing we are using the artificial intelligence for understanding how exactly the product will perform in the market and how the customer will perceive and use that product. Next part is like we can do this live tracking of our testing vehicles and take the time to time live data if there is any failure reported. So we don't need to wait for any particularly for any a number of days. So there itself will come to know in the remote location or on the highways or wherever the product is been testing, we can get the live data itself. So that's a new one trend we have seen in the development of electric vehicles. And the third is the prepare of vehicle uses abuse trends. So for example, in India or any Western countries or in the Middle East, we can see there's a lot of difference in the way the vehicle been drive by the customers. So for all these markets, we make the trend. So how the vehicle is being made, how they can do the abuse to the product, and how the product being used by the customer. So all these trends been made. So we don't need to spend more time in the testing at the vehicle level or at the particularly part level. And the fourth trend that we have seen in the maximum testing being done in-house. So for taking vehicle out and run the vehicle for a number of hours, it takes a lot of time and energy. So with the support of softwares and testing equipments, we can do that testing in-house itself. So we don't need to go out and run the vehicle for some particular number of hours. So that's how we can do the testing and verification in-house itself. Next is the process development and validation phase. So once we have done the testing of our product, then we need to validate for the process and the product. So for currently we can see there are say DVP matrix we need to make, design verification matrix, and afterward we need to make the release of manual catalogs and training reports on the road test, torture track testing, and customer feedback reports we make. So with the support of this, we make our processes and validate the product with the current trends. Whereas on the right hand side, we can see the emerging trends. So instead of like uh, paper based, we used to release the DVP matrix. Now we are start releasing the DVP matrix in Team Center. So for example, any designer has done the DFME analysis, then it goes to the our testing team. They make the DVP matrix against the DFMEs, and within the Team Center, all this flow been done. And second is we are now releasing digital manuals and catalogs and training reports. So earlier we used to give the hard copies to the customer. Now we are in a process to digitalize all these our manuals, catalogs, and training reports. So training reports been generally given to our dealership. So all the digitalization been happening, and we are creating the library for all the manuals. Third is the in-house testing. So already I mentioned there are a couple of softwares being used for the testing of components and as well as the vehicle. So with the support of that, we are now doing the testing in-house itself. Fourth is the unit testing and component testing. So this is again on the unit testing whether we need to do or the component level. That's also been taken into consideration while at the time of testing, and we are doing maximum testing in house only. Next phase in the development is manufacturing phase. So currently the traditional manufacturing processes being used for manufacturing of product. So where we are generally go on the line, we can do the batch run or make the sample. Sorry, firstly we make the samples and do the batch run. If the sample is okay and batch run is okay, then we go for mass production of our product. But on the other side, if you can see, there are some emerging trends being seen. We are now start using the data. So for example, if we want to produce the vehicle, we have now uh, all the value chain stakeholders linked to the SAP. So when any schedule go to the our supplier, then supplier will able to produce that particular number of components. And after getting the components, then line people understand this is my stock available in house, and I can able to produce this pen number. So this is how we make the mix and match how many number and how many vehicles will able to produce on a particular day. So with the support of big data, we can able to link all the stakeholders, and cross-functional teams be linked to make and take the decision on with the support of data. Second, we are using the human machine interface. So there are some areas where it's not possible where humans can work. So with the support of robots or maybe with the support of machine learning, we are now creating automation of those processes. This is one more area which we can see the change with time. Next, we have seen that is a use of blockchain and 3D printing. So for example, if any part been produced by the supplier, and any issue comes either on the line or after down the line 2 years or 3 years or so, or at the supplier end, might be anywhere. So with the support of blockchain, we'll able to see what issue was seen at the time of development or at the supplier end or at the line. So all the now data is available with us. We can do the analysis with time to time. Next, we have seen that there's a connected vehicle data. So if there is any vehicle which is being apply on the road, this connected vehicles is not yet started in India, but I'll give you some example. So we are working with some of the companies where we are working to connect all the vehicles. So we can get live data of our vehicles whenever we can sell it off, and about the driving how the person is driving the vehicle. So all the data from life tracker we can get. So that will help for the development of new product and understand how exactly the vehicle is being used in by our customers. So last part is start of production. So once we are through with the planning, then development, testing, verification, process establishment. Now last part is the start of production phase. So in currently we are going only with the sales and service training reports and the earlier failure reports, and launch plans and strategy. So this is very simple, particularly uh, way of working in after the start of production and collect all this data. Whereas on the other hand side, we can see there's a emerging trends which can, after the release of drawings in the team center, we can see there's a L4 drawings been released. Yes, whether this is as per the print the project, as per print the part being made. So with the support of team center, we can check from time to time, and we can do the analysis TGW and TGR, things gone wrong and things gone right. So what right things we have done in the project and what wrong things gone in this project. So this is what the analysis been done. Afterwards, we make the mitigation plan. So for example, if there is any risk been associated after release of product, so any failure reported or there's a chances that any part will get failed, we make the mitigation plan. So how we have to mitigate that product, or whether that will be a regular change, or maybe at the component level if we will make the change after couple of months. So all this been covered in the mitigation plan itself. And the last aspect of our launch strategy is the we launch the product, and the everything we are making now digital, whether it's related to the manuals or marketing. From the marketing aspect, if we want to release any product, so firstly we use the internet where we can go and release our products. So it will help us to reduce our marketing expense itself, and we can reach to the maximum number of people in a one go. So, all right. So, last point of our discussion is the key takeaways. So, we have seen there are a lot of things are happening in product development, planning, and virtual validation testing, and alpha stage, beta stages, and manufacturing, as well as in the SOP stage. So, these are the few takeaways from this presentation. First, digitalization is taking a front seat. Yes, digitalization is coming up in a big wave in automotive companies, especially for development of electric vehicles and future mobility, because we don't know at this point of time about the how the customer will react, how they will use our product. So we are taking the support of Internet of Things, and digitally we are taking support to make this product. And over the period of time, you can see a lot of things can happen with the support of digital in for the development of electric vehicles. Second is the big data analytics being used for development and redefining the product life cycle. Third, time to market, as already mentioned, why it is important. We have to give the right product at the right point in time and at the right price. This is one key takeaway. Fourth is the project management of future mobility go hand in hand, because earlier there were two different departments being uh, there were two different departments. One is strategy and second is project management. But with the change of time and evolution of project management, these two departments now working closely and go hand in hand. Fourth, after fourth, there's a fifth point is emotional quotient play a very vital role. So these are the five key takeaways I can see. I can take it from my presentation, and which can be a new trends you can see in the development of electric vehicles and future mobility. All right. At the last, I would like to share one of my experiences, like what I have learned in the corporate. So it's about HPS. I know some people will think I'm talking about Harvard Business School. So it's not about Harvard Business School. It's about the humility. So I've seen some of the leaders, they are very humble with their team, whether about the when they interact with the team members or with their seniors. So be humble whenever you interact with your team. I'll say, like, be humble and understand your team members. So this is one aspect where I think we need to work and understand when we can work with our team members. Next is about brevity. Be simple, be specific when you interact with your leaders or with your team, seniors, with anyone. So the thought, whatever the thought in your mind, it should be very specific and to the point. So whatever you want to convey, it should not get distorted. So this is the second lesson, whatever I learned in the corporate world, working with the leaders. And I also try to use this humility, brevity in my day-to-day working. And third, but that's also very important, when you know about yourself, you know what you want to do in your life. So you should time to time check and be aware about you. So self-awareness is also play a very significant role when you can grow over the period of time on the corporate ladder. So, all right. So these are the three things I would like to share with you, whatever I have learned in my corporate world, working in corporate. So that's all from my side. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Ji.
Thank you very much, Sukhdeep. In fact, you know, humility, brevity, and self-awareness.
Self-awareness. Yeah.
That is a great thing, to end the talk with. And I must say, you have taken, a lot of time and energy to actually differentiate between what were the previous trends and what are the emerging trends. A lot of learning personally also, a lot of questions answered, and I'm saying, probably in the next few years we'll see a lot of electric vehicles being rolled out from Mahindra, and
Yeah.
whenever we see the vehicles, we will be reminded of you uh, working on
Thank
them.
you. Thanks a lot.
Okay. So, thank you, dear participants. Thank you for being part of our Productivity Compass series. Please do follow us at Zoho Projects to know more about our future talks. And thank you once again. We will end now.
All right. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Brando.
Thank you. Thank you.